At some stage in life, especially for anyone who's ever held real influence, you face a stark choice: rebuild everything from scratch, or let the wreckage bury you for good. Maybe you've crashed hard, humiliated, double-crossed, crushed by a loss that still stings. But right there in the ruins, that's where true strategy kicks in. Not when you're riding high or basking in wins, but in the raw aftermath, stripped of every delusion that once protected you. Machiavelli didn't sugarcoat it. He laid it out plain. For princes in peril, the banished, those facing the gallows, kings on the brink of losing it all. The lesson hits hard. If you're vulnerable, you're just waiting to be hunted. If sentiment clouds your judgment, you're handing your foes the rope. And if you rebuild sloppily, you're crafting your own cage, not a fortress. So, how does a sharp-minded operator claw their way back? They start by ditching the old self, like a serpent sloughing off dead skin. No time for grieving who you used to be. That version, the one who got stabbed in the back, ridiculed, tossed aside, was wired for approval, for fitting in. Machiavelli would call that a fatal flaw. Cling to it, and you've already lost. A true strategist embraces the death of that self, not out of despair or guilt, but as a calculated move. This isn't recovery. It's a full redesign of your core. The redesign launches with the toughest cut: total isolation. You shut out the noise, ignore the chatter, stop polling opinions. You pull back not to hide, but to scan the battlefield coldly. Forget therapy sessions. This is tactical prep. Alone, you dissect your downfall methodically. What flaws got weaponized against you? What vibes did you put out that screamed easy mark? Where did you bend too far? This isn't venting, it's raw intel. Skip this audit, and your next structure crumbles just as fast. With that foundation cleared, you chart your power zones. Everyone's got leverage lurking, but most overlook it because they chase applause over dominance. A strategist flips that. Power's what you control outright. What can you flat out refuse? What stands independent of anyone else's say-so? What can you abandon that would cripple others? These are your strongholds. Build your world around them, amplify them relentlessly. If persuasion's your edge, drop the popularity contest. If analysis is your blade, quit chasing charm. Power isn't about balance, it's about honing into something lethal. The strategist zeroes in on what saps their strength and cuts it out. Swiftly, decisively, no hesitation. People, habits, addictions, old patterns. If it weakens you, it's gone, no matter how cozy it feels. Your energy is a fortress, not a public square. No leaks, no freeloaders, no dead weight. This is where most stumble. They try to rebuild while clutching the very toxins that broke them. A ruthless mind doesn't flinch. It purges. Things get icy from here. The strategist crafts a new persona with surgical intent. Not to dazzle, but to make others pause, to spark caution without saying a word. You don't waltz back from a fall with apologies or explanations. You return with edge, quiet confidence, and an air that commands respect. Machiavelli put it bluntly. Look virtuous when it serves you, not when it traps you. Your new image has one job: to make anyone think twice before crossing you again. Now, let's talk information. Here's a brutal truth. Oversharing is a death sentence. Weak rebuilders spill every step, craving validation. A strategist wields ambiguity like a blade. They move in shadows, let others speculate, and reveal nothing until the game's already won. Machiavelli's playbook is clear. Seem harmless until the trap snaps shut. While rebuilding, you erect a mental fortress. No more engaging with energy vampires, dawdlers, or distractions. You don't fight them. You erase them quietly. Ignore the bait. Stop justifying. Let the chatter swirl. You're done caring. Every moment spent explaining is a moment robbed from doing. That's the math, and a strategist never stops calculating. Finally, the ruthless builder picks one weapon and sharpens it to a lethal point. Maybe it's charm, precision, magnetism, or cold logic. History's giants didn't juggle a dozen skills, they mastered one, made it unforgettable. You don't need to be everything, you need to be undeniable. This is how you rise as a strategist. You don't limp back, licking wounds like a victim. You move like a king in exile, rebuilding not just to scrape by, but to ensure no one shatters you the same way twice. A strategist doesn't chase what feels good, they hunt what works. That's the line between a soft, feel-good transformation and a Machiavellian overhaul. Most people rebuild to patch up their egos, to feel whole again. A strategist rebuilds to dominate. Authenticity for its own sake? Irrelevant. If a mask outplays a bare face, they wear it. If silence trumps chatter, they zip it. If going solo beats a crowd, they ghost. Here's the brutal reality. Real power isn't applauded by the masses. It's whispered about in fear, respected in the dark. After you've torn it all down, shedding weaknesses, ditching the need for applause, silencing the static, the next phase is repositioning. You don't just come back tougher, you come back indispensable. It starts with nailing your value vector, that one razor-sharp edge no one can overlook. For some, it's insight. For others, it's precision. For a rare few, it's sheer presence. But it's got to be something the world can't function without, not just something it claps for. Machiavelli put it like this: a prince must know when to ditch kindness and wield that choice like a weapon. In rebuilding, this means bending your morals when survival's on the line. While most get hung up on seeming fair, a strategist fixates on becoming unbreakable. And to get there, one rule is ironclad: stack leverage before chasing loyalty. In this new chapter, you forge assets that command respect, not feelings that beg for it. Create something others can't bypass, knowledge they crave but can't dig up, a skill so sharp they dread losing you. Loyalty wobbles. It shifts with moods, with better offers. Leverage? That's a chain even the fickle can't break. Now we hit the razor's edge of rebuilding, controlling the flow of information. You stop consuming like the masses, who doom scroll for a quick hit of comfort. Instead, every book, video, conversation, or mentor faces a brutal test. Does this amplify my leverage or sharpen my aim? Your mind turns into a fortress gate. Nothing gets in unless it serves a purpose. You cultivate a calculated chill, polite on the surface, but radiating a clear message beneath. I see through you, and I owe you nothing. This isn't malice, it's deliberate distance. As you rebuild, vultures will circle, drawn to your scars, offering sweet words to keep you fragile. A strategist smiles, nods, and walks away. Not all warmth is kind. Some is just a velvet-lined trap. How do you forge this mental steel? You train for failure before it strikes. In your mind, you play out the betrayals, the public flops, the sneers. What do I say when they turn on me? How do I carry myself when mocked? What's my move when disrespected? This isn't paranoia, it's rehearsal. By expecting the worst, you rob it of its sting. When the hit comes, you don't blink. You've already faced it 1,000 times in silence. You weave control into your daily rhythm, layer by layer. Wake at the same hour, not for wellness, but to own your time. Speak slower, not to relax, but to project dominance. Stay silent in conversations, not for mystique, but to steer the room. These aren't mere habits. They're signals, etching into your psyche that you're the one calling the shots. Life stops happening to you. You're carving it now. Even your presence shifts. No more darting into rooms, no nervous energy. Every step screams, "I'm a force you didn't see coming." This isn't bravado, it's precision, cold and unyielding. Machiavelli nailed it. Be a fox to spot the traps, a lion to make the wolves tremble. The strategist embodies both, sharp in perception, lethal in action. As you forge ahead in this transformation, you master the most lethal habit, revenge through evolution. No arguments, no pleading, no explanations, just vanish and return transformed, untouchable, towering so high that those who hurt you can't even graze you, no matter how they claw or scream. You don't rebuild to prove them wrong, you rebuild to make them irrelevant. One iron rule anchors every strategist during this process. Never interrupt an enemy who underestimates you. Most stumble here, craving validation mid-rebuild, itching for a nod while still hammering the framework. But the Machiavellian path demands invisibility, not from shame, but because power cuts deepest when the blade stays hidden. This is the third phase, the return. It's not about inner battles or silence anymore, it's about stepping back onto the battlefield. You don't announce your comeback with fanfare, you do it with presence. When you walk in, the room shifts, even if no one can pin down why. Something's changed. You don't flash smiles or justify your moves. Your calm isn't peace, it's calculation, and it unnerves people more than bravado ever could. This is by design. Declaring "I've changed" invites tests and doubters. Showing it silently forces others to adjust or get left in the dust. Next comes the illusion of openness. Total isolation breeds suspicion, so you don't shut everyone out. Instead, you control the story, sharing only what polishes your image. Speak sparingly, but make every word land hard. Flash small wins, never the full playbook. Let them see your outcomes, not your grind. Machiavelli called it appearing moral without being chained by it. You give them just enough to admire, never enough to unravel you. Now, you reshape the hierarchy of your relationships with surgical precision. As you rebuild, you clock everyone. Who stood by you, who ghosted, who sneered, who played pretend. A strategist never forgets, but they don't stoop to petty revenge. No shouting matches, no finger-pointing. Instead, you reposition. The loyal? Pull them closer, but keep a calculated distance. The disloyal? No punishment, just erasure, silent, emotionless. The powerful? Don't grovel, spark their curiosity. This is key. You stop chasing power and start drawing it in. Your silence makes tongues wag. Your confidence plants seeds of doubt in others. Your focus pulls people into your orbit. This is how kings move, not to dazzle, but to command attention without trying. But that's just the start. To never be shattered the same way again, you must evolve before the world forces your hand. A strategist doesn't build the self they dream of. They forge the self the next battle demands. Scan the terrain constantly. Which social skills are gaining value? What weaknesses are predators targeting? Where's the world's attention drifting, and how can you steer it? The powerful don't just react quicker, they anticipate in silence. While others scramble to ride today's wave, you're already crafting the next vessel, building it in the shadows. Now, let's get personal. Every strategist harbors a silent obsession, not a hobby or a fleeting passion, but a hidden weapon sharpened over years, sometimes decades. Maybe it's a razor-deep grasp of human psychology, a niche technical skill, or a knack for bending the energy in a room. Whatever it is, you pour hours into it, telling no one. Because one day, when crisis hits, that obsession will be the exact tool the moment demands. You won't just show up ready, you'll show up inevitable. This kind of edge isn't fair, and that's the point. Strategists live for unfair advantages. Now, let's talk about forging emotional armor. The world doesn't care that you've rebuilt. It'll test you the second your presence starts to radiate strength. Some will try to drag you back to the old you, poking at you emotionally, verbally, socially. Your defense isn't raw emotion or clever arguments. It's a calculated feedback system. If they jab with an insult, flash a faint smile, stay silent, and strike back elsewhere. If they question your rise, play dumb, then pivot with a question that cuts deeper. If they try to rile you up, echo their words until they squirm. You're not scrapping for dignity, you're rewiring how they see you. This is how a strategist becomes untouchable, not by dodging fights, but by turning every clash into a springboard for control. People won't recall your words, they'll remember the sting of feeling powerless in your shadow. This is your new self, not louder, not softer, but engineered. You don't waste energy proving you've changed. Change becomes your default. A true strategist doesn't treat rebuilding as a one-off project. It's a lifelong discipline. They're always tweaking, always sharpening. Every room is a proving ground, every setback a signal, every exchange a chance to recalibrate. Machiavellian rebirth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about chiseling out the version of you buried under people-pleasing, conformity, and fear of being feared. Once that self breaks through, the world shifts. Not because you demand it, but because you've made it impossible for anyone to see you the same way again. From here on, you live by 5 ironclad principles to keep from sliding back into the wreckage of your old self. 1. Never air your pain in public. Your scars aren't a show, not a bargaining chip for pity. They're your private forge for wisdom. The powerful don't parade their wounds for applause. They mine them for insight and turn that into a weapon. This doesn't mean you go numb. You sharpen your emotional intelligence, but keep it locked down, selective, filtered. The strategist knows. Show someone where you bleed, and they're already plotting the next cut. 2. Your inner circle shrinks, but turns deadly. Cut loose anyone who saps your strength while posing as loyal. Drop those who mask jealousy with concern. Your crew now includes only 3 types: those who challenge your mind, those who respect your growth in silence, and those who move with your same ruthless clarity. Everyone else is static, clutter tightening your cage if they don't help you expand. 3. Every emotion gets dissected before it's felt. Your old self felt first, reacted next, and scrambled to justify later. That's why you crashed. Now, flip the script. Observe the emotion, weigh its value, decide if it's worth showing. Anger? Ask, does this help me if I let it out? Sadness? Ask, will this signal weakness or build trust? Joy? Ask, does sharing this expose a future soft spot? This isn't faking, it's freedom. You're no longer a puppet to your feelings, you pull their strings. 4. Your words now shift the room, not chase connection. This isn't about being cold, it's about purpose. No venting, no oversharing, no comforting unless it builds a bridge you need. No flattery unless it sets up leverage. Your words are a blade, not a warm blanket. Use them to steer dynamics, reposition players, plant ideas. When silence works better, you wield it like a weapon. 5. Never rebuild the same self twice. This is the ultimate trap of transformation. Your ego wants to lock in the new you and call it done. That's how you get crushed again. A strategist stays fluid, evolving before the next hit lands. They don't wait for a breakdown to adapt. They spot trends before they bloom, upgrade skills before they're outdated, tweak their tone, vibe, and image just enough to stay untouchable yet familiar. They're never caught off guard because they design for betrayal, not from paranoia, but as a core principle. They know betrayal, like winter, always circles back, and only fools act surprised when it does. And now, we circle back to you. The old you, the one who craved understanding, chased apologies, forgave without weighing the price, bared their pain to those who twisted it and tried to salvage what needed to be cut, is gone. In their place stands a new force, sharper, quieter, weightier. You don't just navigate the world, you tilt it with every step, not with noise, but with strategy, silence, and piercing clarity. This is Machiavelli's way. Done right, no one will see you coming until the ground's already shifted beneath them.